Alright children, welcome back to Macroeconomics with your favorite teacher, me, Mr. Fritz. Today we're going to learn about the demand curve. The first thing we're going to start doing is labeling some of these axes. Alright, so the cue down here is our quantity. What we're doing here is we're looking at the quantity that is demanded based on different prices. So this is going to be quantity and price, the amount of stuff that we want to buy for each good at each price level. The demand curve is downward sloping, and the reason for that is because of the law of demand. As prices decrease, or as prices come down, the quantity demanded increases. So the cheaper things get, the more we want to buy. And we've all experienced that before. That's how sales work. As prices get lower, we'll buy a greater quantity of goods. I'll just show you an example of how this works real quick. Let's pretend that this product is going to be cookies. So this is cookies, and this will be 50 cents for a cookie, and this will be, I don't know, well, we would buy 100 cookies if they were 50 cents. So at a 50 cent per cookie price, there would be 100 demanded. The quantity demanded would be equal to 100. I could probably sell 100 cookies if they were 50 cents each. Okay. As the price decreases, if it came down to 25 cents, I bet the quantity demanded would rise to something like 150 cookies. A change in price will cause a movement along the demand curve. A change in price causes a change in the quantity demanded. Let's say we got all the way up to 75 cents a cookie. We would probably start to demand even less, maybe 50 cookies. The quantity demanded would be decreasing. As you move along the curve, a change in price causes a movement along the curve, which shows a change in the quantity demanded. Okay. Think of this curve as just a bunch of different prices and the quantity that we would demand at each price. So as we move along the curve, going downward, the price is decreasing and our quantity demanded is going up. We are willing to purchase more cookies the lower the price gets. Whereas as the price increases, the quantity demand will be going down. And that's because the law of demand states that there is an inverse relationship between price and quantity. The lower prices get, the higher our quantity demanded goes. The higher prices get, the lower our quantity demand will get. That's how demand works so far. Now I'm going to show you what happens if something other than price changes the amount that we want to purchase. So I just showed you how a change in price causes a movement along the curve or a change in the quantity demanded. There can also be things that are outside of price that will cause a change to the demand of a particular good. If a demand curve shifts outward to the right, that's showing an increase in the demand for the product. If the demand curve shifts inward to the left, that's showing a decrease in the demand for product. And again, if the whole curve is shifting, something other than price is what's changing. All right, one of the first things that causes the demand curve to shift that's outside of price would be a change in like preferences or taste. Let's say that people, so this is going to be cookies again. I'm still going to be talking about cookies the whole time. For 50 cents, we wanted 100 cookies. Let's say, however, that people are now on a diet. This community, wherever we are selling the cookies, there are now more people that have decided that they want to decrease their sugar intake. They don't want to be eating as much sugar anymore. So now, no matter what the price is, people are going to be demanding less cookies. So what will happen? We are no longer buying cookies because of change in preferences. We don't want sugar anymore. So the demand for cookies is going to shift to the left. It will look like this. I'll show an arrow showing that I had a change in the amount of cookies. The demand curve for cookies that I wanted shifted to the left. It's a decrease. Now, even at that same 50 cents, we want fewer cookies. No matter what the price is now, we don't want as many cookies because we're all on diets. There's been a change in our preferences. Obviously, the opposite can be true too. The thing could shift out to the right. If people decide that diets are over and we don't care anymore, time to eat cookies, we could see an increase in that. All right, another thing that's outside of price that could cause a change in our demand for cookies could be the amount of consumers. If this is a small town trying to sell cookies at the grocery store, and there's an influx of new people living in the town, so more people have moved into the town, and now there are more people that are shopping at this particular grocery store, then that's going to lead to an increase in the demand for cookies. There's more people, so no matter what, there's going to be more cookies being purchased. So I would show that there was an increase and a shift to the right in the amount of the demand for cookies, and I'll show D1. I'll label this curve D1 because I'm trying to indicate that this is the new demand curve, this is the old one. Something has changed other than price, and that thing is an increase in population. There's more people, so at every single price, we're going to demand more cookies. So at 50 cents before, we were maybe selling 100 cookies. Now at 50 cents, maybe we're selling like 200 cookies because the population has doubled. All right, next we can talk about complements and substitutes. Complements are things that you buy together. So for cookies, a complement for cookies could be milk. So the change in the price of milk could cause an increase or decrease in our demand for cookies. Let's say that now milk has become more expensive. It costs more to purchase milk for some reason. Maybe cows are on strike and we're not getting any milk made anymore. So there's an increase in the price of milk. Because cookies and milk are complements and you buy them together, this increase in the price of milk is going to lead to a decrease in the demand for cookies. If we're not buying milk because it costs too much, then we're going to end up buying fewer cookies as well because we tend to eat them together. So we'll have a decrease to the left for the demand curve for cookies, and now even at that 50 cents, we want even fewer, maybe like 15. So when the demand curve shifts, at every price level, we want fewer and fewer cookies. All right, there's also such things as substitutes. These are things that you buy instead of goods. So substitutes for cookies would be some other dessert that I would buy instead of buying cookies. So maybe like chocolate bars, candy bar. If the price of chocolate bars are really low this week and chocolate is on sale, that's going to lead to me purchasing more chocolate. And because cookies are a competitor or substitute for candy bars, I am going to buy fewer cookies. The demand curve for cookies will shift to the left. And again now, I'm drawing my arrow to the left, showing which way or which curve is the new curve. And I'm putting a 1 next to that new demand curve to indicate that this is the new demand curve. Or you could have gotten like D1, D2. All right, at every price now, I'm buying fewer cookies because I've decided that I'm going to buy the substitute good for cookies, chocolate instead. All right, another thing outside of price that can cause a shift in the demand curve for cookies would be a change in income. So that can work a couple different ways. Income is the amount of money that we're taking home. So for normal goods, when you make more money, you're going to purchase more of those goods. I would say that cookies are a normal good. As I take home more money, maybe I got a raise and now I'm earning more money. Well, cookies are a normal good. I consider them great. So now that I'm making more money, I'm going to buy more cookies. The demand curve for cookies will shift to the right. Yeah. However, there are also inferior goods. These are goods that the more income you earn, the less you want to buy of them. An example of that could be like maybe store brand cookies. Perhaps when I'm doing well and I'm making a lot of money, I buy Chips Ahoy or something like that. But when I am down on my luck and maybe I've lost my job right now, I'm not going to be able to afford the Chips Ahoy cookies. I'm going to get the store brand cookies that are like $1 or $2 cheaper. And so if my income is increasing, the demand for store brand cookies will decrease and shift to the left. I'm not going to be buying these store brand cookies anymore. I'm instead going to be buying the Chips Ahoy and the Oreos and the more expensive cookies. So if it's an inferior good, increase in income is going to lead to a decrease in the demand for the good. If it is a normal good, an increase in income will lead to an increase in the demand for that good. Finally, the last thing that can affect the demand of cookies that's something other than price would be our future expectations. So, future expectations means obviously what it sounds like, what we expect to be happening in the future. My best example of this that I can think of is what happened with toilet paper in March. We knew that lockdowns were coming because of the coronavirus spread, and we didn't really know how long it would last or what a lockdown would look like, because we saw places like Italy where they shut down whole towns and you weren't allowed to leave your house. And so people kind of lost it. They got concerned that it was going to be tough to buy toilet paper in the future, so they went out and bought toilet paper right then. So their expectation for the future and how tough it might be to get toilet paper caused an increase in the demand for toilet paper at that time. So we weren't demanding more toilet paper because of we needed it right then or a change in price. We were afraid that it would be hard to find and maybe the price would go up in the future. So we were trying to buy it then before the price changed. So these have been your demand notes. We talked about quantity demanded and how price and quantity demanded are inversely related. That's why we have a downward sloping curve. As price goes down, quantity demanded increases, and as price increases, quantity demanded decreases. We also talked about how things outside of price can change the demand. And remember, if we have an increase in the demand for cookies, well then the whole demand curve is going to shift out to the right. If we have a decrease in the demand for cookies, the whole demand curve is going to shift to the left. And remember, an increase or decrease, a shift in the demand curve, is going to be caused by something other than price. All right, we'll talk again tomorrow about supply and demand and put them all together. Goodbye, children.